Today's learning target is I can find the lateral area and surface area of cylinders. When we find the lateral area of a cylinder, it's going to be just like we did when we found the lateral area of prisms. Okay, the only difference is going to be our net is going to be a little bit different. So when we take a look at a cylinder, okay, the net is going to look like this. We've got our two bases, which are the circles, and notice the lateral face is a rectangle. Okay, and the rectangle, the length of that is going to be what the circumference of the circle is itself. Because we can see if we split the cylinder open, okay, the circumference is just going to be how long this rectangle is, or this lateral face. So to find the lateral area of this cylinder, we're basically going to take the circumference and times it by the height. Now if you remember, we can find the circumference by either taking 2 times the radius and timesing it by pi, or taking the diameter if I'm given the diameter and timesing it by pi. So let's find the lateral area of this cylinder right here. So I'm going to start by writing out my formula, and I see that I'm given a radius in this, so I need to find the circumference. So I'm taking this right here is the formula to find the circumference. 2 times the radius times pi, or 2 times pi times radius, and then I'll times that by the height. So now I've plugged in my numbers here, and remember, because I'm multiplying, I can multiply in any order, doesn't matter. So mentally, I know 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 12 is 144, so I'm going to take 144 and times it by pi. And when I solve that here, I get 452.4 meters squared, and I rounded that to the nearest tenth. To find the surface area of a cylinder, I'm looking to find all the faces, as well as the lateral face as well, of this cylinder. So if I know the lateral area, I can just plug the lateral area in, and then add that to 2 times the number of bases, and that'll be the area of the circle, and times it by 2 because there's two bases. Or I can start from scratch and find the lateral area, which is this, and then 2 times pi r squared. Okay, because if you remember, pi r squared is how I find, that's the formula for finding the area of a circle. And then there's 2 of them, so I have to times it by 2. So let's find the area, the surface area, of this cylinder right here. So I'm going to start off by writing my formula, and this right here, you'll recognize that's how I find the circumference of the circle here, right? Because I'm going to take 2 times the radius times pi. So I've plugged in my numbers here, and this is going to find me my circumference of my circle, and then I plugged in the 2 pi r squared, the radius was 6, and I'll have to square that. So now I'm left with 144 times pi plus 72 times pi. Now, if I wanted to, I could do this on my calculator, do this on my calculator, and add it, or I could combine these two, right? So when we multiply, it's another way of saying groups of. So this is 144 groups of pi plus 72 groups of pi. So if I combine those, I'm going to have 216 groups of pi. So now on my calculator, I just do 216 times pi, because I've looked at 114 and added it to 72, and then I'm going to multiply it by pi. And once I do that, I get 678 and 6/10, and my label is going to be centimeters squared. So let's find the surface area of a cylinder where I've already found the lateral area. Okay, so notice in this cylinder I'm given a diameter. So I have to be careful here, because anything that requires a radius, remember, I'm going to have to take half of this diameter. So I'm going to start with this formula here because I already know my lateral area, and then I'm going to need to find the 2 times the number of bases. Okay, well now remember, the base is the surface area of the 2 faces, and I'll find the surface area of 1 and times it by 2 because there's 2 of them. So lateral area right here, I plug that in, and here's the formula for my area of a circle, pi r squared. I took my radius, which was 9.5, okay, because the diameter was 19, half of that's 9.5. I squared it, and that's what I got. Now I'm going to take 2 times 90.5, and that's going to give me 180 or 90.25, excuse me. It's going to give me 180 and 1/2 times pi. Add that to my 1492. And once I've worked that out here, I get the surface area equals 2,059 millimeters squared.